What is going on, everyone? Hope you're all doing well. Today we are finally going to be taking a hands-on look at Portal RTX, which, if you recall, was revealed alongside the announcement of the RTX 40 series graphics cards as a free sort of DLC or update to the long-loved and one of my favorite games of all time, Portal from Valve, adding in full ray tracing or path tracing, however you want to refer to it as. But this is fully ray traced. Think some stuff we've seen in the past, like Quake 2 RTX and Minecraft, but turned up to 11, as it is introducing some new technology along with it, like RTX direct illumination and other things. So this is the most ray traced thing we have seen to date, and so I'm going to be taking a look at that using frame generation. This will be available on December 8th, starting at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, as a free update to Portal. If you own Portal on Steam, you'll get a free update at that time, and you'll be able to test this out for yourself on any RTX graphics card. You don't need a 40 series card, but you'll definitely want a 40 series card if you want to use frame generation and get a good frame rate. So we'll jump in, we'll take a look at some of the ray tracing effects, talk about how it's running on the RTX 4080, which is suggested for like 4K Ultra with, you know, everything really cranked up is what their recommended requirement is for Ultra and everything. So let's jump into it. But first, today's video is brought to you by SuperCDK.com, where you could save money on games for all of your favorite platforms, as well as software like Windows 10 Pro licenses for just $22, and then you can unlock the prestigious Dark Mode for Windows 10, which I honestly could not live without. It is blinding without the dark mode. You guys need it in your life. And now you can also save an additional 25% off at checkout by clicking Buy Now on any software products over there. Just go ahead and add it into your cart and put in my code JP25 at checkout and apply, and that'll bring our price from $22.44 all the way down to $16.83, a savings of over $5. And I'll walk you through how to get your key and install it on Windows 10. Go ahead and click Submit Order and complete your checkout from there. For me, that's going to be with PayPal, and then click on Pay Now. After completing the checkout, it'll bring you to your purchased order page, and it will update in a matter of seconds, or just go ahead and hit F5. Go ahead and do that one time. It came through literally immediately. I got the payment email that it had gone through and the delivery of the product exactly at the same time. Once you're done with that, go ahead and click on View Keys and Codes, and we'll get our code right here that we can go ahead and copy and paste in on Windows 10 by hitting the Start button and type in the word Activate. When you see that activation settings or see if Windows is activated, go ahead and click on that, and it'll bring up this right here, and click on Change Your Product Key or Unlock Windows 10. As I already have Windows 10, I obviously don't need to put in a new key, but just paste it in and then go ahead and click Next, and you are all done and set. For more information on SuperCDK.com as well as the coupon code, be sure to check out the links down in the description below. Now, as always with any game testing or port reports, I always like to jump into the options menu first and take a look at the graphics options. Now, with this game, at first glance, you might go into the options menu, and it's going to be the same exact menu that you're used to from Portal years ago if you played it, which for its time was actually quite robust as far as graphics options menu are concerned. But no, this actually uses a separate options menu, which is accessed by holding down Alt and Insert, which is using NVIDIA's, because this is their Lightspeed Studios and stuff, so some new things. So there's basically a new, it almost looks like sort of like a developer menu, but a little bit nicer than standard developer menus. But you get into there by holding Alt Insert. There's also another menu where you can toggle a bunch of extra stuff by holding Shift and Insert, and that'll bring up this menu here. So you can, there's really a ton of stuff you can really dig down into and turn lots of stuff on and off. Different enhancements. I'm hoping this is going to open things up to modders a little bit more, as there's just a lot of stuff in here that you could really dig into if you wanted to. Now, hitting Alt Insert, like I said, this is just your regular graphics settings menu, but with all of the new stuff in there. So we've got DLSS as an upscaler, which is what we're going to use, obviously, since we're using an NVIDIA card, but it's also got NVIDIA's image sharpening, or you can just use TAA. Now, outside of that, we've also got, like I said, DLSS on. Right now, it's set to auto. With frame generation on and reflex, you can change this to custom if you want to, and you can turn, use different versions of DLSS. You can just turn frame generation on or off, which we'll do at our at a point of suffering later on in the video. But for right now, we're just going to leave frame generation on. And as you can see, we've got all these other options down here that you can sort of tweak. You could really, this is like what it defaults to with the ray tracing, and it's taxing enough and it looks really good, but you can change things like the max light bounces to all the way up as high as 8 if you wanted to. We've also got options in here for volumetric lighting, denoising quality, texture quality, particle light, enhancement assets, and motion blur. And the only thing I changed in here to make this a custom was turn off motion blur, because if you guys know my videos, you know that I despise motion blur. So let us venture forth into Portal, and we can kind of see what we're getting ourselves into. As you can see, the performance is pretty solid here. We're getting about 80, 85 FPS. Again, you know, we are using, you know, frame generation here. It's really, you know, a big must if you're wanting to get a solid, good frame rate over 60 FPS using all of this path tracing stuff. Even in a significantly older game like this, I mean, we saw that with, you know, Quake 2 RTX, which didn't even get a lot of the big updates that this got in terms of like having the new assets on things like these red glass platforms for where the cubes go, and some of the other textures and walls in the environments. They haven't redone everything in this, and I'll be honest, it does break continuity a bit at times. See if I could find an example here in a moment. But like looking at these platforms where you put the cubes, I don't know if they have a specific name for this thing, but like this is a completely new asset. I think one of the nicer assets that they have put into this, and you could really get an appreciation for the ray trace reflections and everything, and all of that. And it looks fantastic. And we'll go ahead and throw our cube on here as well. Now, interesting thing about the cube is there's going to be some Easter egg codes that you can utilize in order to change the texture of the cube and change what it looks like. And I've been told I cannot tell you what the codes are, but I can show you how to access it. So if you go to Shift Insert, or press Shift Insert to bring up this sort of like developer menu, like I said, and go to About. So basically, NVIDIA said, who provided out the early code, they said that I could show you this, but I can't show you what the codes are so that gamers can figure them out for themselves. But they're really not that difficult to figure out. So I'm going to go ahead and put one in here that's going to give us a ray traced cube here that's going to look a lot nicer. And once I put it, I put in the code, I hit enter, and then it added this menu right here, and then I can go ahead and click it on, and you can see that the cube will change. And now we have a significantly looking better cube. I don't know why it spins like that when I let go of Shift Insert, but now we have got a path traced cube, which looks absolutely incredible. Like, look at this thing. Like, come on. Like, just look at this cube. Just look at this cube. Like, see, this is what I was talking about with, like, continuities, like the glass on this and the reflections and everything, right? This is what I was telling, like, what I was saying is that it looks like a graphical effect from, like, the year 2028, even though it is 2022, but until we actually can see stuff like this, you know, in, like, every game. But, like, there'll be, like, textures on the other side of that glass that looks like it's from 2006, which I'm pretty sure was the exact year that this game came out. So this one isn't the best example but there's other areas of the game where there's like just glass windows, and like you'll look through on the other side and it'll just look like pants. So it's just there's just some continuity breaking things, but you could see the reflections here. You could see what's the name of the character? I can't even remember. I just love and play the first 2 Portals to death, but I can't think of her name right now. But yeah, you can see in there we are fully path traced. That is a hot looking cube. Just look at that cube. Don't you want that cube? It's all about that cube. Now, just for experiment's sake, I don't need to hit escape. I need Alt Insert. We're going to go ahead and we will whack off frame generation. We'll go ahead and put this onto custom. And we'll turn off frame generation and see what happens. And we have dropped down into the 50s here. So go ahead and close that. So now we're in the 50s. So that's, you know, this is still acceptable, but again, we are using DLSS. Now, I tried switching DLSS off the other day, and I was down into the 20s, and I tried it again this morning, and the game went down to like 0 FPS, and I couldn't even move the mouse cursor, so I'm not going to go that far. But you can get the ideas that this is, you know, DLSS on auto. If we whack it off, you're going to get around 10-20 frames per second here, even with an RTX 4080. So this right here with just regular DLSS on, very playable, but obviously, you know, if you have access, keep on hitting escape wanting to go into the options menu. If you have access, to the frame generation for especially for a game like this where you don't need to really worry about any sort of latency effects that it could introduce, then I really don't know why you wouldn't, because it's just going to give you a much smoother experience overall. Now we're over 80 frames, and the game is running silky smooth. So overall, I gotta say I'm pretty pleased with this Portal RTX update. Again, this isn't like I'm not gonna go into a huge video on this. It's a free update. It's more or less a tech demo to show off frame generation and ray tracing, path tracing, really, which is definitely going to be the way of the future. So it's really nice when they do drop these sort of like these demos and things like that, so we can sort of check things out and get a look at what's on the horizon, and also kind of see where performance is taking us and how difficult it's going to be to run these games in the future, and the things that are possible right now. I mean, this is all like a lot of it is future tech where we're going to see path tracing like on a regular basis. I still think we're probably a couple of years off of that, but I do think we're going to start to see maybe elements of that beginning to show up in a lot of games, and we've already started to see it to some effect, maybe not fully path traced, games being released regularly. But I do think we will see some of those effects start to creep into, modern games, maybe even next year with some Unreal Engine 5 stuff. We'll start to see more and more of it coming as it's especially with the new 40 series, it's become so much easier to power ray tracing. It's just like, there was a time like with the 20 series, even the 30 series where, ray tracing was just like this thing. Even with the 3080 Ti, I was just like, wow, that's cool, I can put it on, but, I've got to use DLSS, and then it's barely hitting 60, and now it's like I can put it on natively and get 80 to 100 FPS, or whack on DLSS and get well over 100, or use frame generation for like really, really taxing games like Spider-Man, but it's becoming much more manageable and much more accessible. So awesome update for Portal RTX. Like I said, check it out. It's going to be completely free on December 8th, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m. Pacific. As long as you own Portal, you can check it out. Portal right now is $10 on Steam. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if maybe there's a promo coming up, maybe to get people to check this out. Maybe it'll be on the cheap for the holidays, as I've seen it on sale for 99 cents many times in the past, or them just giving it away completely for free. So certainly check this update out in a couple of days if you want to see what it's running like on your RTX graphics card. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you next time for another video. Peace.